All right, you groovy grasshoppers. Here we are, Monday morning, a little bit before 11 o'clock. We couldn't wait to get on because I was sent a manifesto by one of the guys driving the drones. He was from the
Yeah,
planet Uranus,
yeah,
and he sent me a manifesto
yeah.
saying that he's got information that that Trump wipes his butt with the left hand.
Well,
Yeah, and that's why he crashed his drone
this vehicle.
into the arcade.
What,
So
what arcade was that?
I don't know. Arcade was the first word that came to my mind.
Yeah.
It was like, oh god.
Yeah, it's really hard to believe anything that's going on.
I know.
It's
Well, so just so everybody knows, this is the great Mark Puttenfink, Patriot Training Systems. Can train anybody, aliens.
yeah.
I just be careful of words I use, but so Mark and I like to do our own research.
Yeah.
And one of the people, not limited to, and we don't listen to everything, but there's this Sean Ryan, retired Navy SEAL, correct? He's a SEAL?
Yeah, he was a SEAL. I think he was back then it was SEAL Team 6, but
Right.
in any event, I also know he was a he did contract work for the CIA
Right.
after he got out of the military. Yeah.
Now, is it fair to say that he's a fairly, up until this point, and I'm not saying it changed all of a sudden, but we'll get into why. He's a very reputable guy. Like when you listen to him talk, you felt like, okay, what he's saying
Right.
is the truth based on his best knowledge. Right?
Yeah, what he says is one thing, what his guests say are another.
Right.
And leading to what we're going to talk about, this Sam Shoemate was his name, or Shoemate, or something like that.
Yeah.
I will say this: Sean did at the very beginning of that podcast say, "Hey, this hasn't been verified."
Yep.
So, but as it continued, you just got the felt that there was some belief in.
Yeah,
this
I know.
stuff.
Yeah. So again, Sean Ryan, SHAWN Ryan, are a great podcast to listen to. As you had taught me too. I didn't know him until recently. I think you were following before I was. Really started focusing more on ex-military personnel, talking about stuff that happened and stuff.
When he first started, it was primarily Tier 1 operators. SEALs, Green Berets, Special Force guys. It was kind of that angle. And then as he grew bigger, which he has, he's tremendously big now. It kind of spread out to some other people that weren't.
Right. And again, these are all, especially the military people. I think we all agree on this. They've sacrificed their life for the country. So we total respect to them. It's just, there's so much information out there. It's hard to really now decipher what is the truth and what is not. Right. So,
well, I sent you a video. I'm sure other people saw it. Somebody saying that this guy was full of crap.
Yeah.
And Ryan should know better. And then you look at that guy and you go,
I know. Yeah. That was the heavy set guy.
Yeah. So it's sad, Tom. And you and I were talking about this, that we don't know what to believe anymore. It's really sad.
So people, just to be clear what we're talking about, obviously we had the tragic events in Vegas and in New Orleans. So the Vegas one is interesting for a lot of reasons. So he intentionally chose a Tesla vehicle. This is a Green Beret, so it's highly trained, highly decorated Green Beret.
Active, not
active Green Beret. Chose a Tesla, and at first glance, it was meant to park in front of the Trump Tower in Vegas and blow and cause damage. But if you look, he used basically fireworks and some gasoline. Is that accurate?
I'm not entirely sure exactly what the V-bed was.
Right.
What's really scary about this, if it's to be believed, and I think it is, somebody had notified the FBI, and they didn't know what that meant. The acronym VBIED.
VFib?
VBID, yeah. I don't know. It's just because we're kind of immersed in that for the past couple of years. We get a little bit of knowledge, but how could we know what it is? And the FBI agent.
So in the manifesto, this manifesto that was read on Sean Ryan's show, the part of it was there was a term there called VBID. And it was that vehicle-borne
improvised explosive device. Right. And anybody who watches the History Channel will know what it is.
So when this one guy was reporting to the FBI what was in this email, he said to the FBI agent several times, used the term VBID, and the FBI agent goes, "What is a VBID?" You said it a couple times. Okay. So what happened was, so a few things. So apparently this guy. What's the guy's name that did the bombing? The Green Beret? I can't remember his name.
Lillisberger or something.
Yeah, Lillisberger.
Lillisberger or something.
So apparently he shot himself in the head, and then some it's a self-driving car. Part of the theory is that it's a self-driving car. That's why he chose it. Shot himself in the head, pulled up in front of the hotel, and then the detonation occurred. That's the theory. A few things. So they claimed in a press conference that his body was burned beyond recognition. But at that same press conference, they showed a picture of his arm with the full tattoo. So, yeah. Now they
wonder.
Yeah. And if you show the picture, you see the video, it's fully engulfed. So, okay, it makes sense. The body was
big explosion. And they found the passport.
Well, that's the next thing. So they found his passport and his military ID that was slightly charred, but not burned.
Yeah.
So now the theories come out based on this email that he supposedly sent out. And some people now, the conjecture is one of the theories is that he wasn't the body that was in there. Mm-hmm. And the FBI, I think the FBI, when they said this to Sean Ryan or the guy that was on Sean Bates or whatever, it was they were trying to poke fun at him, saying that his DNA, the Green Berets DNA, did not match his son's DNA.
Correct.
Now that I felt like they were saying that to try to discredit, saying that he lost his mind because he found out his son was not really his son. But
no,
right. It is also saying, well, okay, is it really him that's in the car?
Right.
So the theory could be that it was not him. If he really wanted to do damage, he would have known better to not choose a Tesla and to use different materials to blow if he wanted to do damage to the hotel.
Well, if you think about it, that he was a Special Force Green Beret.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he knew how to make an effective,
right.
bomb, a weapon, whatever you want to term it. You know what, Tom? It's just, we were talking about this before. It's sad.
I know.
We just don't know what to.
I
know. And we'll never know the truth to any of these stories.
I know.
We never really got a resolution to the Vegas shooter. How many years ago was that? I mean, that was a horrific thing. And to this day, we're still wondering about the Kennedy assassination.
I know.
1963, I believe.
I know.
So,
and that's the thing, because they don't tell us. So now the whole drone issue, particularly in New Jersey, it wasn't limited to New Jersey, was a big story. It's just done.
Yeah, it died.
There's no, and they wonder why there are people like us who just don't believe anything anymore because they don't ever tell us what's going on.
So I think I tell you the story. My mom was probably about 18 years old or so, and living in Paterson, New Jersey. Her mother and father right off the boat from Italy. My grandfather played cards every Wednesday night. That was all the Italian men got together to play cards. So they had the famous War of the Worlds radio broadcast, which was Orson Welles.
Yeah.
That a spaceship landed somewhere. They made up a town.
Yeah. You know what? That's great. I'm glad you brought that up. So what happened there?
And so the thing is, it was so realistic. Back then, that's what you had, the radio. Right. People really thought Martians landed and were walking. So my mother and her sister ran down to where my grandfather was playing cards. And being who he was, she said, "Hey, Pop, the Martians landed. We got to go." He said, "Listen, when we're walking down Main Street in Patterson, come back and get me then. Right now I'm playing cards." And I think that's the approach we have to take. I mean, until it's on your front doorstep, what are you going to do? So I'm worrying about all this crazy stuff.
It's like, they have the congestion pricing in Manhattan. So everybody doesn't know below 60th Street in Manhattan now in New York for people of other countries or whatever.
Yeah.
They now have an extra. So they are charged $9 between the hours of 5 in the morning and 9 at night to now enter into Lower Manhattan. So not because they want people to take mass transit, it'll save on their environment. So they want you to go down to the subway where you can get stabbed, pushed in front of the. It's laughable. It's funny.
Kathy Hochul. So this is all part of the
right. She's our governor.
Yeah. She's finding fossil fuel companies, whatever that term means. I'm not quite sure. $75 billion. Right. She's taken 30 that we know about private jets to fly from Albany to New York City.
I know.
You could drive there in an hour and a half or 2 hours.
I love that. Yeah.
So I think people, they just don't get it that the American, again, going back to whether you're a Trump guy or not, maybe you despise. The fact of the matter is people are really tired of this elitism where they want us to bear all the burden, and they're, sitting on a plane having a margarita.
And then I love when Hoko comes down a couple weeks ago. She comes down to the subways in Manhattan and brings her whole security team and tries to paint the picture. This is safe down there. It's really nice.
Well, two things about that. The fact that she's proud that she has National Guard down there.
I know.
Does that not tell you something?
I know.
Like things aren't going well.
So and part of the issue is, this is kind of the sad story, is part of this, the problem is that you have these people that are suffering in theory from a lot of mental health issues that are living down in the subways. And now they say, well, we need to get them help. Well, the reality still is, if it's an adult, if they don't want help, they don't have to get help. I mean, you can't force them to take help, right?
And legally, it's a problem. I think that's the Fourth Amendment. But anyhow, due process. But what they should do, this would solve a lot of crime on the subways. Put cardboard figures of Kathy Hochul. She's a frightening looking woman. Like, just play some
with or without makeup, though. Like, talk about. Oh,
my with.
Oh, like, what do they do? Do they spray paint that on? Like, they
remember Earl Scheib? You get your car painted for $19 back in the 70s.
Yeah,
she goes right through it. She walks. It's like a car wash, but it's paint.
I mean, this is a total compliment to women. I think women just in a natural, I know they want to put some makeup on, and again, women can do whatever they want to do. It's their bodies. My opinion is, I think women, with all that, it's unhealthy too. All that makeup going in.
Yeah, you wonder about the chemicals. Pamela Anderson has gone completely and she looks great. I mean, she's accepting her age.
Yeah, I think I actually like it's the whole, and it's also the whole attitude thing. Saying, listen, I am who I am. I don't need to be putting all this stuff on. And if you don't like it, then that's fine. You can go someplace else. Yeah, it's like you and I. We're all natural, right?
This is all. Yeah, this is just how it roll out in the morning.
There is a funny video out there where a guy, he's talking about dating. He says, okay, we're going to trust women. Now, women have fake eyelashes, fake hair, fake boobs, fake lips, fake butt, makeup. Everything's fake about them, but we should trust them.
Well, that's because of the expectations we put on them as men.
Okay, we can go with that.
Defend the women on that.
There you go. There's one guy, one single guy here, and one guy that has a love of life. So, very true, very true.
Hey, did you see?
Yeah, go ahead.
Off topic. The guy in the Ravens make the interception yesterday. The big boy, a big.
Oh yes, that was hilarious.
Awesome. That was.
He didn't know what to do. He went to take a knee there.
Anyway, I'm running with the ball.
He was a big man too.
Big dude, man.
Oh, I'm sure he's thinking, I'm not running all the way down there.
Exactly. That's all the way down there. I'm here.
That was pretty funny. They made an announcement today that the Dable, the coach of the Giants, and the GM are staying. So
why not? Let me ask you a question. As far as coaching, are we reaching a point where it really doesn't matter that much? You got to have the players. It's the bottom line.
It's a GM's job to put together the right.
Correct.
Great example, the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought this. Is a great topic. So they talk about the draft for the Giants, whether they're first or third or wherever they end up being. I just think, when are people going to understand that if you look at the successful teams like the Lions, and you listen to them talk in their videos, they have that Hard Knocks videos and all that kind of stuff. They always talk about, yes, it's great to get the talented athletes, but we want to get character people too, right? It's just, like the guy Neighbors for the Giants. They're great wide receiver, tremendously talented guy. But okay, so in the game yesterday, he was talking about too, breaking the record for receptions. Like, I would rather he said, listen, yes, I definitely want to break the record, but I want my team to win. There's no
team would say, the only thing you're going to break, I'm going to break your neck. Shut up.
Yeah. So
it's not about you, man.
Like, they had Odell Beckham Jr. He was exactly the same way. And this kid's going to end up, they played Washington probably like 5 or 6 weeks ago. And he's buddies, I guess, with the quarterback there, the young quarterback. So in a timeout, his team, there's still a close game. And Giants had called a timeout. And they're trying to come back in the game. And it was like third or fourth quarter. So they show the video. Neighbors, instead of being on the sideline with his team, is over on the sidelines with Washington, shouting it up to the timeout.
This is the way it is, even in hockey, I think, to a certain extent. I mean, probably less, but I think more than before, right?
Yeah. Oh,
totally.
Okay, Danny, we're going to be, does your wife watch this show? I think my wife has a problem with the aging process. Your aging process or her aging process?
Yeah, it's inevitable.
Well, and I'll tell you, Danny will make fun of me, but Danny is correct. Herb Brooks is the kind of coach that, he really, the character and how people all fit together. There's a whole, like, again, you've got to have, like, we've talked about this, and you know this stuff well too. You've got to have the leaders, but you have to have the followers too.
Yeah.
Like Herb had a
Absolutely.
saying, there's got to be hewers of wood and carriers of water.
Yeah.
Which, and it's kind of in essence, if you look it up, it's both the same thing. You're people that are carrying things, but they're doing certain jobs for the team. And it doesn't mean one is more important or less important, but
Well,
did you see Mark Messier's comments the other day, the Saturday game?
Spot on, man. He was spot on. The thing about Herb, caring about his team and Ralph Cox. We all know who Ralph Cox is.
Yep.
Right?
Last player.
Who was the player cut this year for USA? First guy. Oh, no, we don't know, but you understand what I'm saying.
Okay. Right.
He for years, decades, Herb would talk about Ralph Cox.
Oh, right.
Like that speaks to he really cared. It's just not a body to him. It's not just a number.
Right.
Right. You know what I mean?
Herb was tough though too. I mean, I speak about this publicly because he spoke about it. But a great friend of mine, we started in the league together, Mike Allison.
Yeah.
He told me on our podcast that he'd contemplated suicide because of the way Herb treated him.
Really?
Now, Mike also acknowledged that maybe some of that was him being sensitive about it. But for an individual to get to that point, and I do recall, this is part of it too. When you're playing, you're so wrapped up, you're not really focused on other people. But I do recall that Herb was really hard on Mike. And again, it's tough.
Yeah, it's a fine line, and I guess to your point though, he may have been suffering already, right?
Yeah.
And this is kind of exact. I mean, Stephen Roche, he's been very public with his.
Yeah.
He said a few times, I just almost drove into a wall and stuff like that.
And who was it? Was there one particular coach that got him that way? Was it?
I don't know if it was a coach or it was just internal, like just.
So Stephen Richer played with Montreal, New Jersey.
Montreal won it. I think he won the cup with New Jersey. But yeah, he was a good player. I mean,
yeah, big shot. I remember him. Yeah,
wicked shot. It's like a Mike Bossy kind of player.
Yeah, that's. We get into the whole mental health issue. I had a fantastic call today with a guy named Ron Tomasero. He's helping to run the Teammates for Life Foundation for Mark Pavlich's thing.
Is it Ron Thomas?
Thomas, it's a Teammates for Life. It's a thing that Mark Pavlich's family has put together. He wanted to do it, but his sister primarily and others is Ron Tomasero, I think.
Now, what's his background? Because I used to do a camp every summer. Ron Thomas was the Harvard coach, and he moved out to the Iron Range.
Yeah, that's him, Ron Thomas.
He's a good friend of mine. I mean, I haven't seen him in a long time, but
come on.
Well, yeah, we used to do a great guy.
Yeah, Ron Tomasoni.
And I'll tell you how great a guy this. So we did this Nike hockey school here at Floyd Hall in Jersey every summer, and he was coaching Harvard at the time. And I had a couple kids that I had coached, played for him. Goaltender and a defenseman. Anyhow, so he shows up and we go out for breakfast. So, hey, what's going on? He goes, family, we're going to move back to Minnesota. I just retired from Harvard. I said, and this is just when the Wild started. So I thought maybe he took a job as a scout or something like that. But no, it was his sister's husband wasn't feeling well. And one of the sad stories, like within a week, was gone.
Oh.
So he was moving the family back. But it just shows you his character. He gave up a great job at Harvard. I mean, That's
who I didn't know that about him.
But he's a good Ron Thomas.
Tomasoni.
Tomasoni. Yeah, Ron Tomasoni.
Well, that's interesting. You know him. Yeah, we talked about an hour today.
Is that right?
So they're putting together a big gala that's going to be taking place in New York, someplace in October. Fundraiser, raise awareness for and it's called the Teammates for Life Ranch. So when Mark was going through, I think most people kind of refresher. When Mark was going through all his struggles, first got put in incarcerated because of the incident with his neighbor. Barry Beck, who played with Mark, really kind of took the lead, and first of all wanted to help Mark, obviously, but wanted to build some kind of a ranch, which was a huge undertaking to raise the money for the ranch, to raise money to maintain the ranch, all that kind of stuff. So ultimately, what happened was, I think Clint Malarchuk, the former goaltender of Buffalo, played a big role in it as well. There's a ranch that was already existing in Minnesota, the Minnesota area, somewhere around Minnesota, and they designated one building for it. And it was very interesting. It's for hockey players primarily and military personnel. And it's to deal with mental health issues. So those people, it's not they'll help others, obviously. I think the whole ranch help others. But
I think with hockey, with the concussions, the same thing as football, the CTE is a real concern.
Yeah. And they're really.
Yeah.
He was telling me today. Ron was telling me today they're helping other family members as well, nieces and nephews,
Oh, good.
and stuff like that. So they're going to put together this, and it's interesting. So I didn't mention you by name. I wish I had have now, but talking to you and a connection to all the military personnel. If we can get somebody from the military to really participate, this would be great. So it'd be fun.
Yeah, maybe we can. I can connect with him and talk about it.
Yeah,
He's a
definitely.
great guy, though. Real good guy.
Yeah, that's cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So we touched on Mark Messier really quickly there. And he's very, I think he's come a long way in his broadcasting skills.
Yes.
Really, he's he's very classy, but he's also being a former Ranger. All he did winning the cup and everything, the Rangers. But the Rangers are going through a tough time right now, and you can't sugarcoat it. That his job is to say what he thinks. And I thought he did a fantastic job in the Saturday game against Washington, outlining how he felt, and he compared it to the Edmonton team when they traded Wayne Gretzky away,
Right.
and how became a disconnect between the players and management, and the coaching staff, and everything. And that so he felt he was careful about it, but he was critical of management, the way they handled it, didn't tear them apart, but also said at the same time, said, listen, we didn't like it either, but we ultimately pulled ourselves together and won another cup the year after, 2 years after the Wayne had been traded. So, and I think basically he did say to the Ranger players, listen, you got to deal with it. Whether it's right or wrong what the management did. Listen, I'm adding to this. I think you're having a short career in the National Hockey League. You don't want to waste it sitting around talking about management. So,
yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be a thing where you're never going to be happy with everything they do, but certainly Drury, at least from what we know or what we're told, handled some things that probably could have been handled in a better fashion.
Yeah, you do kind of wonder, and there could have been rationale for it. But when he sent out the memo to everybody in the National Hockey League that he was open for business to trade, and I think specifically named Kreider and Trouba.
Yeah.
And he had to have known. I know he knew that whenever you send that out, that's going to be public. That whether he wanted to or not, you can send it to all the GMs, because other GMs around the league, they may want to do something to hurt the Rangers, right? So they're gonna make sure it gets public, or it's just people chatting.
Do you wonder though if he did it purposefully to get them kind of?
That could be the other thing. Did he have a reason behind doing it?
Yeah.
Was he trying to light a fire under everybody?
Right.
Now, so if that was the case, then well, you need to know your locker room. You need to know, okay, is this going to make people mad, or are people going to start to sulk? And then, to me, you would want a group of guys that would get mad about that.
Right.
And not about it. It didn't turn out to be this case. Even noticed in the game yesterday against Chicago, Pat Maroon was trying to, his job. Pat Maroon's a big guy, has been around to several teams, won Stanley Cups with different teams. His job is to pull the team into the fight. And his team in Chicago was not in the fight yesterday at all. And he was trying to stir the pot. And the Rangers player, you could say they were smart in not taking the bait. But
especially at the end of the game, isn't it an automatic game suspension if you fight? What's that 5-minute rule?
I think if you take the instigator penalty with it lasts, there's something there too. So but I think everybody looks at the Rangers. That's the one thing. God, you want guys to get mad out there a little bit more, And I just don't think that that's the way that team's constructed. It doesn't have those.
There's a couple. I think Schneider's could get a little snowball going.
Yep.
Lingman can't. He's not that guy.
Yep.
He'll play hard.
Yep.
You wonder. There's a lot of talk and positive talk about Rempe coming back. I guess the message of their management's getting out there. No, he's going to play again.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It is interesting because I wonder what's being said to him and what he is not getting. Because you look at the last penalty he got the 8-game suspension for.
Well, that was ridiculous.
Right. They had to have known though. He has to know. He has been told, listen, there's a target on your back.
Yeah.
It's easy to see you. You're 6 foot 100, and because of the stuff you've done in the past, anything you do now is going to be, you're going to be treated differently than everybody else.
Which is wrong.
It's wrong.
I looked at that play. It was boarding. Guys saw his numbers. However, his elbow hit the glass.
Right. He did jump though. That's one thing that hurt. His feet were off the ice from behind. And but right, the elbow didn't hit him. But you know what though? It was just the effect.
The might have been there.
Yeah.
But that's coachable. You can just tell him, listen, dude, just don't leave your feet. Stay
well,
low.
but I'm assuming they've already told him that though, right?
Yeah, it's just bad habit or just instinct.
Oh, he's getting excited too, because remember he's a
That too.
young kid, yeah, and he knows what the expectation is, that he's there to light the fire under everybody else.
rock
So,
the building.
yeah.
Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah. Maybe we just, I think he needs more minutes because then you're less likely to get too
very true.
overexcited.
Very true.
Yeah.
You know the guy who's really been it's awful. Like our boy Lafreniere.
Oof.
Did you see him back checking in Washington there? That one goal.
Yeah.
Boy, ooh man.
And Miller yesterday was handing out pizzas all
I
night
know.
long.
I know. And I want to like Miller. I think there's so much potential there. But man,
he needs a new. You just wonder if he's. We've talked about this. He started playing defense when he went to Michigan, and that's something you got to play from when you're 7.
Yeah.
Like
totally. Yeah.
Instincts aren't there.
Where's our boy here? There's somebody made a statement here. Great players don't always make great coaches do. Well, that's true.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's been lots of guys who had never played the game who had fantastic careers as GMs or Oh, here's the comment I wanted to see too. Luch, who's this? Luch Onis?
Oh, that's he's got his podcast going. So that's I forget he's been on. He's one of our guys.
Oh, okay, cool, nice. They also built a big statue. Yeah, so the statue's fantastic. I think that it's on. If you look at Gene Pavlich, Geanne, so they have a statue built there for Mark.
Oh, cool.
Because it's for military personnel and for hockey people in particular. Great statue of, I think it's Mark, and it's somebody in the military standing with the statue, and I believe there's 2 flags. I think that's what connects the 2 of them. I think that's cool. What it is. But it's pretty cool. Yeah, very cool. Good stuff. So we'll get, obviously they want this event to happen in October, so we'll get more involved in that and obviously promote that more. And then you've got you're heading up that whole event on the 14th, going down to
well, I'm not heading up. Bill Brown is, but I'm helping him. We're
okay, hold on. So Mark's very humble, as we know. Mark's here's what, and I mean this is total, we love Bill Brown, but basically what Bill heads it up, he gets it started, and he says, okay, Mark, do it. Get it.
Not entirely true. There's certain things I'm good at, and there's a lot, but as a team, we work really well. And Bill put this all together. It's a very peaceful march on the 14th, the day that Pete Hickseth's confirmation hearings will be occurring. And it looks like he's going to sail through it.
So all that other stuff is kind of settled down, all those accusations. Right.
Yeah, but Bill just wants a representation of, there's a lot of negativity about, as crazy as it sounds, but there's a lot of negativity out there about being a patriot, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with loving your country and loving the people in it. And we just want to show, some peaceful, support.
Just to be clear, so everybody understands, Pete Hegseth was in the Marines? Was he?
No, I believe he was Army National Guard, but he was the Special Forces, and he was combat veteran of both Iraq and Afghanistan, 2 Bronze Stars, and I think emeritus citation as well.
And so he worked for Fox News for several years, participated in the swim across the Hudson at least a couple of times, right?
He's been
and nominated for, what's his title again? Nominated for
Secretary of Defense.
Secretary of Defense.
Yeah.
So there's been some pushback. He had gotten in some kind of there's some sexual allegations. I think he's been very open about it, that what happened, it was consensual, whatever. But that, as soon as he was named, you knew that was going to happen. Whatever dirt was out there. So Bill and Mark are putting together on the 14th. He goes down there for his hearing, or hearings, excuse me. And Bill and Mark are putting together. Several buses are going down to meet at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial.
That's what it's. Yeah, the march will start there, and I think it goes to the Korean, then World War II, and then we'll just kind of peacefully hang out there and. And
so again, it would be a lot of military personnel, but it doesn't have to be.
It's not combined to that. Yes, there's a huge outpouring of SEALs because Bill's a SEAL.
Yep.
And Mitch Aguilar and Jeff Gum and all those guys that from the swims.
Mitch is coming. Has he got any body fat on his body whatsoever now?
Negative.
Oh God, that's funny. So dude, this Mitch, he's got his own line of products.
Yes, it's M&F.
It's a green drink or something.
He's got everything: protein powder, greens, and he's done well with that. Great guy.
This is my memory, obviously, but I know we've talked about creatine several times, correct? We brought up that subject.
Yeah.
Man, I'm really starting to be a big believer of creatine.
There's that's one of the supplements that's been around well, going back to really the 80s.
Yeah.
So it's a long term. There's been a lot of positive results
Yeah.
in weight training and also just for cognition and things
Right.
of that nature. And so the good news is we have a 34-year history of it, and there's really no side
Right.
effects.
And it's an amino acid, right? That's naturally occurring in your
So,
body.
when your muscle cell has adenosine triphosphate, which is
Oh, adenosine triphosphate.
all right. In any event, the creatine, you saturate the cell, gives you more energy.
Right.
for a long
And it's
period.
it occurs naturally in your body as it is. It
Yeah.
just
Oh yeah.
it's-
Yeah.
Right.
Creatine, well, it doesn't occur in your body. You do get it from outside sources. One of the
Oh.
biggest ones is red meat. It's loaded with creatine.
Okay.
And the monohydrate is just a form of it that we can absorb as a
Right.
supplement.
How about fermented foods? That's a very healthy
Really
thing
good
the
for
body,
you.
right? Yeah.
I have every morning I eat with my eggs pickles.
That's right. You told me touched
Yeah.
on this. I guess I've been reading up on it more because of the sourdough process, because that ferments
Yeah.
the dough and everything. Right?
Sauerkraut's really super healthy for you.
Yeah.
Just don't put it on a hot dog, but you know.
Oh, you can put it on hot dog, yeah.
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 I used to make an omelet with sauerkraut in it.
Cool. What would you do? Did you watch any football, Jets, Giants, anything like that?
Hey man, our Jets are on a roll, baby.
I know. Oh God.
A little bit. I was going back and forth through the Rangers, and then what time was that junior game on? They won. USA won. Two
Yeah, I
years
didn't
in a
watch.
row.
You know what? I didn't watch any of the World
You
Junior. I
know,
don't know why.
it was a pretty good tournament. I know
Yeah.
Canada had some issues, but Finland, they were up 3-2, and the U.S. came back and won the game 4-2.
Right. And that's the
In
second
overtime.
year in a row the U.S. has
Correct.
won there.
Yeah.
So people don't know there's a World Junior tournament for all kids under 21, I believe it is.
Yeah, I think it's U21.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And most of these kids are all like drafted players and like that. So it's a big
Pro.
deal. Yeah.
He
it's
had a
big
really
deal.
good.
Yeah. And it's played in different places around the world all the time, every year around Christmas and all the
Well,
top
I keep
players.
forgetting the Four Nations starts in a week or two, right?
Yeah. That's good. So that is, have they had the Four Nations before?
No, this is something new. I guess this
Right.
is in lieu of Olympic hockey, maybe. I don't know.
I think it's they did used to have like a World Cup kind of thing.
Well,
in
the World
past.
Cup. Yeah, World Cup. I actually worked at 2004. I was in Europe for
Right.
that.
Right.
And then I think they just had one a couple of years ago. They revived it because
Yeah.
it was dormant for quite a while. I think that was the last one.
So who is it? Canada, U.S., Russia,
in the four
Four
nations?
Nations? Or no?
Canada,
Is
I
that,
don't know if it's Canada, U.S. and I plead ignorance. I should know, but
yeah, I think Canada and U.S. definitely have teams. So it's called. Is it called the Four Nations Cup?
Four Nations. I'm going to assume though, like Sweden, Finland, maybe. I don't know
Yeah.
how
There's
they
some
do on
kind.
that.
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Anybody? Barry Shelley. Where's Barry? We need Barry.
Burial, no.
You'll know. Yeah.
Actually, speaking of Barry Shelley, one of the reasons I talked to Ron Tomasino today with the Mark Pavlich's Teammates for Life, they're doing this program, and we're going to help promote it more, where for $500 you can nominate somebody that you want. So Barry Shelley, for example,
Right.
and then he would get put into the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame. It'd be it's a people who they're not big, they haven't run teams or whatever, but they're very dedicated to the sport and everything like that.
Is
So
this going to happen, or they're talking about?
it's currently going on now.
Well, let's do it.
Yeah, I know. So
Okay.
they were so what's happening with the Teammates for Life ranch, they're partnering with USA Hockey. So it's $500. I think 80% goes to the ranch, 20% goes to USA Hockey.
Let's do
Great.
that.
Great cause. Yeah.
Because if
Pretty
anybody
cool.
deserves to be in there, it's Barry for everything he's done for
Yeah. Yeah,
so
very
many
cool.
people and
I know.
continues to do.
Wouldn't that be, he'd be, oh man, he'd be so emotional.
No, we're doing it.
Yeah. We
Fuck
got
yeah.
to get the video of him get awarded. Oh man,
Yeah.
that would be,
Yeah.
Big heart, that man. He's got a heart. He's like Secretariat. Remember when the Secretariat died? They did an autopsy, and Secretariat had this huge heart. That's the
Did
same
not
thing.
know
with-
that.
Yeah, but I guess his heart was like 3 or 4 times the size of a normal horse's heart. And I guess we're
Explains a
gonna,
lot, yeah.
we're gonna do the same thing with Barry Shelley once he's
Yeah.
gonna have a huge heart.
He deserves it for sure.
Let me see here. What do we got here from our buddy Mark Stamps with additional grooming and mentoring? Rempy, grooming and mentoring. That's a classy way of saying it. Grooming and mentoring.
I like. No, he's right. I mean, he just needs. Thing is, I don't know on their staff. They didn't have a guy like that. I mean, Housley was a skill guy. Pekka was a skill
This
guy.
sounds terrible. This is awful. Okay, I admit this is awful. Okay, when I start, have you watched the Rangers games where they show the bench at all?
Oh yeah.
Have you seen
I know,
Housley's
I know.
hair?
I
Jesus.
know, but he must be a hell of a coach or something.
Does he not have people who love him?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so it shouldn't matter, but he's obviously losing he's lost his follicle. He's follically challenged.
Correct.
And it appears he's very thin up front. And instead of like having a swoop across or something, he has it come down and like little candy canes.
Yeah.
Like it's candy. If you put lights on it, it'd be like candy. And I hadn't watched many games, and they showed him on the bench on Saturday, and I'm looking, I'm going, no.
What is that? Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
But don't in that kind of there she is. Oh my goodness. The magnificent.
She can't hear you because I answered your question.
But I mean, in those kind of situations, like, okay, you have Beth there.
Yeah.
If you were ever to do something that, like, grow your hair like that or whatever, she would be there out of
without a
love,
doubt.
right? Out of love
Yeah.
to say, Mark, you can't
Listen, you look like an idiot.
do that. Yeah, right. Yeah. Out of love, though. If you had a
Out
love.
of love. Yeah, I can hear already.
But I mean, so this is not somebody. I mean, if we were working with him, like we would have to give him a hard time, right?
Oh yeah.
Right.
How could you not? I
Right.
mean, that's like leaning into a left hook. You got to give it to him.
Oh, jeez. It's one of those ones, though, that when you're looking at it, you're thinking, come on, did he just have a bad day? But apparently that is.
It's a bad year. Bad decade.
Oh, God, that's funny. That is terrible. It is funny when you see somebody that, well, Trump's even like that, too, though. I mean, with that hair.
He's got
But
a new dude, though. It looks better. I did notice. Somebody's
that?
cutting it different on it.
They
Looks
cut a little
better.
bit.
Yeah.
But I guess you think, okay, so if he was to change it, obviously based on the swoop or the comb over he's got going on, there's nothing up top there, right? So
No, it's a
he
flat.
would have to shave it off. And
Yeah.
now that's such a drastic move.
It's a gutsy move.
Right. And then people then, it would be one thing if it's repairable, but over time.
Yeah.
Right. So the other option is to put a hat on, right?
Yeah.
But then
Exactly.
I can't see him at the inauguration wearing like a New York Ranger ball cap.
Why not?
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah.
Maybe we could make that happen.
he can just wear the MAGA hat, the red, make him red.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
I forgot about this one. Happy, you know what? Happy New Year's to everybody. Well, Jessica,
Yes.
thank you. Yeah. Now, here's another good morning. Yes, Trudeau. Oh, he has resigned. I saw in the paper that he was going to resign.
Oh, it happened already.
Yes, this is the
Yeah.
Prime Minister of Canada.
Yeah.
Very liberal. And he's the son of a former Prime Minister, Pierre Trudeau. And
You might want to back up on that one.
oh, okay. Okay. Now he's also this. Okay, he is the son of Mrs. Trudeau,
Yes, we'll leave it at that.
who spent large amounts of time down here. Apparently, was good friends with Ron Duguay too. So maybe Ron Dugay's son. Think about that.
Yeah.
Hold on, we've come onto something. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe we need to call Sean Ryan on this
All
one.
right, here's one I'm going to tell you. It's not Doogie's son.
Okay,
I've trained Doogie's son, Noah, in
Right.
boxing.
Right.
He was a good athlete.
Right.
Trudeau came into Gleason's and he sparred one of my guys, Yuri Foreman.
yeah, but different wives, so different mothers.
Well,
Right.
yeah, we'll give him that. But
Right.
I'm just going to say, yeah, big difference.
Right. Okay. So, but here, no, let's stir the pot a little bit here. So, Ron Duguay, I don't know anymore, but he had been dating Sarah Palin,
Correct.
who was once the nominees for vice president
Yeah.
at one point, and they were very romantically involved. Had a very lengthy relationship. I haven't heard where that's at now. So, I think this whole thing, Ron's tied to the government thing here, the political side of it.
Yeah.
And now, so let's say Ron is the father of Trudeau, the premier or prime minister of Canada. So
Can he replace him though? Because Doogie's from Sudbury, so
he could. So
Yeah.
so here's another one. So Donald Trump said that Wayne Gretzky should become prime
and he's
minister.
right. He's right.
Therefore, maybe then Ron Duguay could be like the vice. Is there a vice premier or I don't know? There must be something.
You're the Canadian. Huh?
I know, but there's got. Oh God, Ron Duguay. I haven't heard.
Just
from
make the whole cabinet like they got to have a secretary or like an equivalent to Secretary of Defense. Make that Marty McSorley.
Yeah.
I mean, just yeah.
Well, Jim Kite, who we had on our podcast, he got awarded some Canadian Medal of Honor or something like that.
Did he? Yeah.
Okay. Oh, now we got to go. Okay. This Medal of Freedom thing.
Oh my God.
Okay. So I'm all for, and this isn't, if we look back, Republicans have done this kind of stuff in the past too, but because now Biden is now leaving office, he's pardoning all these people.
He's letting it fly, man.
So a medal of freedom. Okay,
Mhm.
so what would be your definition of medal of freedom? Like, who would you give that to?
You are someone who is a really staunch defender of a republic and yada 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 yada. Maybe not George Soros.
George Soros, who funded a lot of people funded a lot of what do they call it?
Well, anti.
Right.
I mean the Alvin Bragg, he funded that
Right.
one. He funded
Black
George
Lives
Gascon.
Matter, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And then Hillary Clinton.
Oh, boy.
Did she get it because of the way she stole all the money from the Haiti people? Is that she made them free from money? Is that
she had a whole list of things she did, which was tremendous for the world. Yeah.
all the people she got killed?
But which kills me too. So Ralph Lauren,
I know. and the soccer
so he gets
player.
a Medal of Freedom for buying ties from Vietnam at 50 cents a whack and sell them for
And who's
$125.
the soccer player that didn't show up? Salsa or whatever?
Yeah,
Or-
Lionel Messi. He's
Messi.
Like,
Oh,
hey,
okay.
what do I have to do with the United States?
I know. At least I admire him for
Yeah.
not showing up. Like,
Yeah.
and then okay, now here's the one that really disappoints me big time. I could accept Soros and Clinton because of the all tied together or whatever it is. Wrong as it may seem.
Mhm.
But when Denzel Washington I love Denzel Washington
I
as an
know.
actor.
Just stay out of politics.
Yeah,
All these people.
I would
Yeah.
rather he would have said, listen, thank you for the honor. I do not accept.
Pass it along to someone who really deserves it.
Yeah. Oh, and then he's up there hugging Joe Biden. I thought they were going to have, like, that was a full, like, usually a man hug, you keep your hips away from each other
Yeah.
because you don't want,
There's
you
no
don't want,
thrusting involved.
yeah, you don't want the swords crossing each other, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
But
especially if it
yeah,
was, yeah.
I think they were bumping peepees. I think they were.
That was a good chance. But the thing of it is, this is Biden's like just leaving and going like this. Hey guys,
Oh,
to everybody.
God. Oh, God.
Pardons and everything like that.
But jeez, I mean, in the hug though, that's what really gets me. I swear,
I
I
got
got
a Medal of Freedom last year.
it isn't every year, isn't it? Just when
I don't
isn't
know.
it just when
That's
they
my
leave office?
point. Who even knows? These things are meaningless.
Yeah, but I just have this whole vision. I'd like to see like Denzel and Biden naked hugging like that. Like just
I mean, you can make a movie out of that. That would be interesting.
bumping peepees.
Biden would keep calling him Joe.
It was way too much. Like give a quick little hug, keep the hips away from each other, but don't be going the full on. Like that was like a 5 to 10 second
How's
hug.
Biden? I mean,
Yeah.
he's kind of
And they
Glasses
smell,
on.
you got to smell like, what is it? Like
furniture.
furniture, like old people's.
Yeah, he smells like furniture. Musty furniture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, Denzel. I thought he was going to cry. I always thought Denzel was going to cry too. And he's one of my favorite actors of all time. He's right up there with John Wayne, but can't
Well,
do
I'll
it.
tell you. So last night we I don't know why. Probably just we want to see how bad we hate ourselves. We watched the Golden Globes for a little
Oh,
while.
yes. There you go.
I'm so out of touch. I don't know any. I guess I'm old because I didn't know any of these people.
I know. Oh,
And I know.
oh. Yeah. And the whole, like
Yeah.
even The Rock, like wasn't The Rock wearing like a pink suit or
Yeah,
something like that?
Yeah, he's a little. I
I
think he
know.
likes himself. I really do.
Oh, God. There's no lack of confidence in that man. Oh, my God.
Yeah,
Man.
yeah, whatever. Good for
How
him.
about I you know what I would have liked to listen to? What Nikki Haley is it? What's her name? The
Nikki Glazer. She's funny.
yes, she
funny.
digs too. She gets some good ones going there. Yeah.
Watch her on Joe Rogan and stuff like
Yeah.
that. She's really funny.
The Tom Brady roast, she was pretty good too. Yeah.
Fist pump replaced.
Yeah, no kidding. I agree with you there, Mark, on that one. Yeah. It's like that whole like I was getting I had to take a shower myself when I saw
You know
Denzel.
what though? You remember Zella Pukin, right?
The player, yes. Yep.
So a couple of summers he came back. He was playing for Chicago, but still came back to Jersey for whatever reason, and he trained with us. And when he saw me, because he didn't see me, he's European, he came up and kissed me on the cheek. I'm like, oh. But that's just and that's cool.
It's a cultural thing. There's no question. But I can't like that's one of those things I can't unsee Denzel Washington having the full on hug, PP's touching with Joe Biden. I cannot see it. I don't know.
Anything goes nowadays.
I think did I see it this morning? So I'll see tonight whether I can sleep or not. I don't know. Maybe if I take a really good shower myself, like shower my
Easy,
eyes.
big boy, easy.
No, I mean like I shower my eyes, like I have to wash my eyes out. Yeah,
But just the fact that the Hillary thing, though.
I know. What? Yeah, but like, you're right. Like, how do they try to justify? I guess they don't even try
They
to.
don't
justify.
care.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Yeah.
He's the guy that was looking at his watch when we bring in 13 service members
Oh,
off the plane.
here's not. Yeah.
Looking at his watch. We almost done.
Family
We're
for
gonna-
13
I
kilo.
need a
Yeah.
nap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. How about now? The one thing I'm going to give our boy Mr. Trump a hard time about. Apparently, as stories go, he's upset because they're keeping the flags at half mast due to in honor of Jimmy Carter.
They should.
And now I haven't actually seen him say anything. That's what's reported in more like the USA Today. But Trump said not.
I didn't hear him say it.
Exactly. So maybe they're making that up, or maybe he asked the question, and that was it.
Who
So
knows?
yeah.
But Jimmy Carter, not a good president, but tremendous man.
Oh, so see, I wanted to ask you, he was not a good president.
Well, I mean, it depends how you look back upon it. At the time, he was probably known to a lot of people the worst one ever. Well, not out of malice or anything, but just the economy,
The gas shortage then too, right?
gas shortage.
Right.
We had the hostages.
Oh, and didn't he
Gas
boycott?
shortage was actually, I think, Nixon,
Didn't they boycott the Summer Olympics?
1980.
Right.
Yeah, because
And that was-
Russians went into Afghanistan.
Right. Okay. And that's what.
And then where were we 20 years later? Afghanistan.
I know. Oh God.
Yeah.
Now, one of the other things too here, we touched on Sean Ryan before, kind of bouncing around. So he's had on this woman that we've discussed, who was a former CIA agent. Is that
Sarah? Yes, Sarah.
Right. And she reports that there are approximately 1,500 Al Qaeda members in our country currently.
Yeah.
And in 2025, their goal is to get revenge for the Osama bin Laden assassination or killing or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And the cars seem to be the thing. And now, I think she said all this before New Year's Day, before all these car bombs.
She did. She predicted it.
Right.
Yeah, it's a little concerning. It's actually a lot more than just a little concerning. But again, what are you going to do?
I know.
Other than
Well,
just be aware, be vigilant.
You know what? I'm glad. So here's the thing. I'm glad we're touched on this. So we now have been conditioned to believe that it's our government's job to protect us, right? I think that's part of the issue. We need to educate ourselves. The government is not going to protect us. Getting into a debate whether they should or not is, to me, is irrelevant. They're not. They've proven over and over they're just not going to protect us. So we need to do a better job. If you're in the subway, don't stand 6 inches from the subway track
Looking at your phone.
looking at your phone. Back up, get against the wall. And it's if you think to yourself, well, I shouldn't have to do that. Well, whether you should have to do it or not is irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
You need to do it. It's like to save your own life. Yeah.
And there's a lot of common sense things you do. If you're on a subway, you can see somebody's not right.
Yeah.
And even if you're going to miss your train, just go the opposite direction real quick.
Yeah.
Getting in
Getting in an elevator with people, if it doesn't look right, take the next elevator. Yeah.
The problem is there's just so many of them out there.
I know. Yeah.
I mean, the fact that this other guy they just arrested for stabbing 87 prior arrests, including attempted murder, assault,
I know,
criminal possession of a weapon, and he's right. It just. I
know. And they showed the videos too, and you feel terrible for these people, but the homeless people sleeping on the benches in the subways, and again, now there's no place to sit. Now, what's going to happen is if this works as they plan, this congested pricing, it forces people down in the subways more. You're going to have more confrontations because people are saying, I'm spending, now I have to ride the subway instead of spending all this money. And now these homeless people. So now there's going to be confrontations between those people. So,
Kathy Hochul.
I know. Now Trump claims that he's going to try to rescind that.
I mean, at the end of the day, he's a New Yorker. He wants to see New York try to get back to where they were at one time. But because right now it's pretty rough. I know.
Yes, it is the city. There's our boy William Haynes. I apologize, William, our great veteran there in Chicago. Amy Armstrong Street. Yeah, he worked on the trains. Yeah,
what William's saying is really important, but and train, because don't buy a gun, put it in the drawer, and think that you're safe.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, and here's the scary thing too. It's like now you think, where did I saw a video the other day, or it was somewhat related. It was a young boy was at a pool at some resort, fell in the pool. And this other gentleman was sitting there, and the boy is clearly almost drowning. And the guy just sat there, didn't do anything. Yeah. My concern is I say that because now you get into like the subways, for example, and what happened with that William Penny.
Yeah.
Was that his name?
Daniel, I believe. But no, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. I mean, this is why people go, you're walking by, woman on fire. Yeah, because try to help out. You're going to get prosecuted by Alvin Bragg, George Soros.
I know.
That's the problem.
Yeah, that's a sad state though, too, where a man or anybody can't step in and help somebody else.
There's a very famous case. I think it goes back to like 1968. It was called the Kitty Genovese case, and it was I want to say Brooklyn, Bronx, somewhere in the city, and it was the summertime, and it's 1968, so people had the windows open, and she was stabbed to death in the street, and there were like, I think by my last, like 38 people that heard it did nothing.
Right.
Because it just didn't want to get involved.
I
And
know.
the whole
And didn't it used to be a crime that if something was happening and you didn't step in, there was some
only for law enforcement.
Oh. Interesting. Do you? We touched this a long time ago. Do you ever watch those videos, the First Amendment auditors, where basically, so the first part of the First Amendment is it's the right to video from public property anything you want to video.
Right.
Now there are some auditors who go out there and do a good thing. They're trying to, because what I have learned, I know you know this, but if you don't exercise your rights, people can still be good people, but they don't understand what your rights are.
Right.
And they violate your rights, not because they're bad people, because they just don't understand. And
Not
that,
aware of it, yeah.
right. And that trend then continues, and all of a sudden our rights now are eroded. So these auditors go out there. Now, some of them bait the police officers. Others are just trying to bring light to it. But basically saying they'll go someplace and be on a public sidewalk, video a store or a bank or whatever. People get upset. They call the police. And now you see the reaction from the police. So I thought, yeah.
You know, if you recall, it's probably before COVID, but there were 2 Marines, active Marines on a train in France. And a terrorist entered the train with some kind of long gun, and they neutralized them. And they were heroes, and rightly so.
Right.
And we're so far away from that now.
I know.
What happened with Daniel Penny, rather. It's really.
I tell you, and from watching these videos, and I know they're isolated incidents, but now the disconnect between the police and the civilians seems to be getting bigger. Yeah. And part of it is, and you do this work, you can have fantastic police officers, but if they're not trained properly, both in how to handle situations to diffuse this, but also if he does get into a physical confrontation, he or she gets into a physical confrontation with a civilian, if they can't handle the situation properly, now it escalates and becomes more deadly, right?
Yeah, and that's a big problem because they don't have the resources to train, and that's an issue. Most of the guys, once they get out of the academy, unless they do it on their own. Now I know a lot of, or some, I shouldn't say a lot, but a fair amount of law enforcement that train religiously in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or they hire a guy like me to work with or something. But in any event, it's a problem. And the other problem that what New York did, New York City in particular, Alvin Bragg did, now they have to write up any interaction with a civilian. So if I stop and ask a cop for directions, he's got to write that up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so this is why they don't want to get, I'm not going to say they, many times it will prevent the impetus for them to do something maybe they should be doing.
Do they all have to wear body cams?
I don't know for a fact, but I believe they do, but I'm not sure.
Shouldn't that be like both for both sides?
For both sides,
yeah.
And again, it's it's a money thing, right? When you defund the police, you can't buy them. If you defund the police, you can't train them properly. And
see that gets people riled up because I know it's not necessarily connected to different funds and everything, but we send all this money to other countries, but we can't train our own police. Now, again, I know it's separate money, but yeah.
Well, and the other problem that they're faced with now is recruiting is really because the morale's low.
Yeah.
Because they don't have the backing of the city, of the administration there, and really a big problem. This is across the board with everything. But when you have an obesity rate in this country of what it is, and 1 out of 2 adults are pre-diabetic. Think of that. 50% of our nation's pre-diabetic.
Yeah.
They had to lower the standards on a physical test to become the law enforcement agent, a police officer in New York. You had to, in the past, you had to go over a 6-foot fence, right? It's like kind of an obstacle course. Like they were nobody could do it.
I know.
They had to lower it down to where you could like kind of walk over it.
Yeah.
So that's a problem. And then you couple that with lack of training after the academy, you got a problem.
Yeah, like they go through like a 6-week training program to enter, correct? But then
Yeah,
they
I'm not
really,
sure exactly what the pipeline
right.
is, but yeah, it's
But
probably
then
pretty short.
like even like firing your weapon. Like in most cases, a police officer is never going to fire his weapon. But if he's not trained to fire, when he finally has to, if he ever has to use that, then
Yeah. And again, we could take that way out to where they don't, and it's a money issue, but they don't get exposed to what we like to call stress training, where if they actually get into that situation, they're going to be able to perform. We look at the Secret Service agent down in Florida with the second assassination attempt. From 5 feet, he shot 6 rounds and missed all 6.
I heard that and I'm thinking, no. First of all, I'm thinking, there's no way.
Yeah, there's a way.
Can't you and I, like I could from 5 feet away.
You think you can, but when reality becomes reality, it's reality, and you get this when you get that flush of chemicals and your heart rate's about 175. You get auditory exclusion, you get tunnel vision, a lot of bad things happen. And unless you train to, the biggest thing, I'm going to get into the weeds a little bit, but the biggest thing is to train to keep your heart rate low in a stressful situation, that doesn't occur, right? And the only way to do that is continually train in that environment.
Right.
And they just don't have the capabilities to do that.
But I'm thinking, like, when I heard that story, I'm like, come on. Like, that's the kind of stuff that to me points to, you want us to believe that anybody is standing 5 feet away with somebody and takes several shots at him can't hit them?
Well, certainly a Secret Service agent should be able to. Yeah.
If
anybody.
Yeah. And because of all the stuff, here we go again, all the stuff that's happened makes you think, okay, so what's the real story there? Like, was this guy being set up and they wanted to make it look like they were shooting at him?
I want to say it might have been Sean Ryan talking about going from SEAL training, where and if you're a SEAL out there, correct me if I'm wrong, but like per day they fire off about 300 rounds on average to stay sharp, so to speak.
Right.
CIA guys had to do like I think there was like in order of like 3,000 or whatever it was, because and Secret Service too, because Secret Service, they're in most of the time there's like a lot of civilians around, so you don't want them taking out collateral damage.
Right.
Those guys are supposed to be like completely sharpshooters.
Although that poor woman in Pennsylvania couldn't put a gun in her holster. So
I think it's still out.
That's terrible too.
But that should never happen.
Yeah.
I mean, especially on what we would consider presidential detail.
I know. That was awesome.
And again,
we should laugh, but that scene, and no,
like Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, they weren't in shape they just weren't physically fit.
She reminded me of Melissa McCarthy in some movie she was with Sandra Bullock. They were FBI agents, but
Well, yeah, because again, it's awful. But okay, so if you go back and look at that video, once he got shot, and they have him standing up. Mm-hmm. The one female officer who couldn't put her gun in her holster, she's holding her hand up, thinking that her hand is going to protect the president. I'm like, oh God,
sniper round.
Like, I admire her for her efforts. She's sacrificing, but at the same time, it's like somebody put her in a bad spot. She shouldn't.
Well, again, it gets back to meritocracy and people being in positions they shouldn't be. But and there's a place for our Secret Service. Maybe it's doing logistics. Maybe it's doing forward intel gathering. But it's certainly not protecting the most vital asset or one of the most vital assets.
And if they're there for that purpose at an event like that, in the worst case scenario, that something like that happens, which it did, wouldn't it make sense that the people that are surrounding him are fully armored, like they have the helmets on, they have the vest on and everything?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but then it kind of starting to lean into like a
police state kind of thing.
Yeah, a little bit. But and here's the thing too. There's a very important word in the Secret Service. Like you're not supposed to know who's who.
Oh, secret.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're supposed to serve too, but yeah. All right, so a lot of stuff going on.
Listen, I don't think my Jets are going to lose another game this year.
Good point by you.
Yeah,
excellent. They'll be perfect in the playoffs. Yep.
Yeah,
they will not lose during the playoffs. That's correct. Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up. So now we're entering into the playoffs. Who are your picks to be in the Super Bowl first?
Buffalo, Detroit.
Mm-hmm. I like it. Where does Kansas City figure that? So Buffalo would have to go through Kansas City to get there, right?
Yeah.
That's a tough one for me. It's just Mahomes is that magic guy. He just
Yeah, no, he's a great player.
yeah. What I didn't like about Buffalo yesterday with the quarterback there, he played one down and then left because he had his.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
I
Like,
know.
Saquon Barkley could have played for Philly and broken the record with they need 100 yards or something like that
Mhm.
more, and said, "No, I'm not playing at all." Like I kind of either you're going to play or you're not. Like don't,
Right.
don't fake.
Why did he not play? Was he hurt or just?
Nope, they wanted to arrest him. Or he wanted to arrest
Okay,
himself.
that's
Apparently
fine.
apparently they asked him. The coach gave him the choice. He was like that when he played against the Giants 4 or 5 weeks ago. Coach asked him on the bench. They had the video, audio video of it, and he said, "Listen, you're certain number of yards away from breaking some record for a game."
No
Do you
ring
wanna
for
play?
it though.
Yeah, and he said, "No, let the young
Yeah.
guy play."
There's no ring. You don't get a Super Bowl ring for that extra
Yeah,
100 yards.
totally.
You got to win the big game.
I tell you, Saquon Barkley. The more and more I hear about him, he's one of my favorites. He's good.
Yeah, I kind of like him. Yeah.
Yeah, because all the stuff like apparently he's reaching out to the young guys on the Giants
Mhm.
and everything and helping them and stuff.
Again, that gets back to just a room. You need guys like
Yeah,
that. That's
I know.
like
Yeah,
that's how you we talk a lot about culture, winning culture. That's the kind of guys you win with. You know?
yeah, definitely. Definitely. Okay. So I'm going to go take a shower after this and I'm going to spend a lot of time washing my eyes out.
All right. I
Listen,
know,
I'm
you're
thinking about right now,
disturbed, Jim.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking of
Yeah.
Denzel Washington and Joe Biden naked, hugging each other, bumping
It's-
peepees.
That's a
I
bad
can't-
thought.
It's awful. Like that's something that could really affect somebody the rest of their lives. It's
And
trauma.
you might be damaged. You know what?
Yeah.
We get off I'll get you help. You're gonna need help.
Maybe we could sue somebody, right?
You can sue anybody you want. Yeah.
Sue. All right, brother. You have a fantastic day.
You
We'll
too.
see everybody next week. Again, guys, it's still somewhat the holiday season, but all the time, everybody take care of each other. The 988 hotline, shoulder check, all those things. So we're checking on each other. Mark, you are one magical creature. You know that?
Working on it. Yeah.
I can't imagine you hugging Joe Biden. There's just, I can't
No.
see you doing it, especially
I,
naked.
I wouldn't hug Jill either, honestly.
Oh, God, no. Oh, how about hugging Hillary Clinton? That'd be nice.
Oh God.
You couldn't. You'd have to have, like, you know, when they double up
man.
on handcuffs? Like, they'd have to double up your arm
Yeah.
to get around.
Uh,
All right. All right. Everybody have a fantastic week.
be good.